April 2024 marks a significant milestone as South Africa celebrates 30 years of democracy and the Gauteng Provincial Legislature's existence. In 1994, legislatures were established to make laws for provinces and hold provincial governments accountable for service delivery and the use of public funds. Committees of the legislature consider laws, monitor the work of provincial government departments, and make recommendations about the work of departments, including their structure, functioning, and policies. Meet the chairpersons.
Welcome back. We're in conversation with the chairperson of the Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Portfolio Committee, Honourable Mzikayifani Khumalo. Thank you for making time to speak to the people of Gauteng.
Good afternoon, and thank you for allowing us to be here, and good afternoon to the people of Gauteng.
Thank you. Let's start by asking you to do a brief introduction of yourself.
Where do I start?
At the beginning, probably.
My name is Mzikayifani Khumalo. I'm the chairperson of CoGTA. I suppose it's because I had served before as the MEC for CoGTA. I was also the executive mayor of Rand West. So in a sense, a local government is one of those terrain that one would know better.
Okay. Can we start by, also, maybe we should meander to this where you give us the primary objectives of, the corporate, the committee, I beg your pardon, of which you are chair.
Well, the responsibilities of the committee should be seen within the context of the mandate of the legislature, which is law-making, public participation and oversight. And in particular, as it relates to oversight, because we are playing an oversight role to the department of CoGTA in the province, or put it bluntly, to the MEC of CoGTA in Gauteng, and by implication to all municipalities in Gauteng as such. So oversight is the key thing. Above oversight, we also are ensuring that the kind of resolutions that are taken by the House or the legislature itself find expression in the implementation plan of the department as such. And we also help the legislature to hold the department accountable in terms of its own particular mandate. So three critical areas: lawmaking, public participation, and oversight. That's the context at which our committee is working on.
The Gauteng Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, if one understands it, the mandate is to support local government, by ensuring good governance. Financial accountability is one of them, capacity building, and institutional stability. When one looks at the latest report, which your committee has, the financial performance of the department seems to be quite pleasing. And you're welcome to differ with me. Why are we finding seemingly a challenge for municipalities to at least emulate the department's performance, at least in terms of financial management?
Therein lies the challenge, because we can conclude that the department is doing very well in terms of its own performance. Clean audit for over a period of time. They are carrying a responsibility of supporting municipality to ensure financial prudence, proper financial management, and all of those things. The big question is, why can't they? I take into account, of course, that municipalities are independent institutions. They're not a department. So you've got a department, you've got a municipalities. You can tell them to do certain things, and they can decide otherwise because of the prescripts and the regulations that they would follow. Perhaps one of the issues that we might have to consider is, how do you regulate the relationship in such a way that it is enforceable? because I think the key word there would be enforceable. I would know, for instance, that department would then look at a municipality X, intervene in that municipality insofar as financial management issues are concerned, capacitate them, ensure that there's proper institutions that would help those municipalities to perform and perform better. However, because there's lack of enforcement, and that's where for me the problem is, because you've got to negotiate with them necessarily, even if you know, but these people are doing wrong things. Take Mfoleni, for instance. Everybody knows where the problem is. But the key issue there is enforce. So you can come up with a strategy, but if you are not able to enforce that strategy, you only work on the goodwill of cooperative governance, hoping that people will come on board in terms of the issues that we identify. It's the same thing as in the AG. There's efforts in our country to ensure that the AG is given more teeth, and for me, within the context of enforcing, so that the AG can be able to enforce some of the recommendation that is making. But the AG makes a recommendation and relies on the goodwill of municipalities for implementation as such. So I'm saying, insofar as Gauteng is concerned, I think Gauteng must then consider a measure that will be enforceable, that would then regulate the relationship between the department and local municipalities. In that sense, I think we will be able to resolve quite a lot of issues, because we know what is the problem there. The AG's report tells us these are the problems that faces municipalities. The committee itself has identified what are the problems. We received the report, for instance, from the AG, analyzed the report and said these are the problems that are faced up by municipalities, make recommendations, and say to the department, can you please implement this recommendation together with municipalities? In some instances, we have a right to go directly to municipalities and engage them with something that we're going to be doing with municipalities, particularly the metros, because we are more concerned of what's happening in the metros. If you look at the metros of Gauteng, they've performed well over a period of time, but there's this serious regression. And some people would say it's because of the political instability that is there, coalition governments. I would want to say yes, to an extent, coalition governments would have contributed, but not everything else can be blamed to coalition government, because coalition government means nothing else, but it's a political arrangement that is there. Institutions, as in the administration, remains what it is. A budget that municipalities passes, policy position that municipality passes, the IDPs that are there in municipality, remains the programs of municipality, notwithstanding who's the mayor at a given time. So we can't shoulder the blame as coalition government as such.
Well, I want us to come back to that point a bit later in the context of a report by Corruption Watch in relation to some of the metros. Is the committee that you chair not concerned that for the reporting period in question, the department did not report anything on petitions management, on international agreements, on fiduciary compliance, and any other focus? I'm sure that concerns you.
No, it should be concerning. So that if you look at, for instance, the metros, not even the smaller municipalities, the metros, there's a lot of international agreements that they're working on. Even the crowding in of investment internationally to help them. That's one of the areas that we have to deal with. So it can be that on areas that municipalities have got a responsibility on or they are performing on, we don't seem to be getting that report. But if you look at the concept of the oversight itself, in the context of the Gauteng Provincial Legislature, it talks to those issues. It says we ought to go beyond what is presented to us on the table. That is why you've got things that are called FIS, Focus Intervention Studies, where you go deeper and you don't only rely on what the report tells you. One of the things we want you to do is to do, as for instance, public hearings where you call in stakeholders around that area, who will then come and say, we know of these initiatives, we know of this project, and then you can be able to have a sense, irrespective of the fact that those things were not reported.
The report also touches on a subject that I think all of us as South Africans, rightfully so, we need to be concerned. Every department, gender-based violence. One appreciates all the efforts that are being implemented to conscientize people. But I find that particularly with the traditional affairs aspect of this department, we probably are sometimes missing an opportunity, in a sense that we could talk about traditional family values, for an example. We could talk about maybe programs on illegal circumcision schools, because, that's another area where, patriarchy sort of emanates, and this ownership of women, quote unquote. And we could talk about issues in the role of women in the cultural sense. Instead, one sees a lot of after the fact GBV awareness programs. I hope that I'm making sense, and please tell me if I'm not.
No, you're making sense. There is too much emphasis on creating awareness, and in the context of Gauteng as an urban area, and therefore identifying stakeholders as such, your traditional stakeholders. If you look at the approach in Gauteng, is that GBV has been mainstreamed as such.
Yeah.
Each and every department has got a responsibility to do that, and I think the intention was focus on your stakeholders.
Yes.
But as I say, there's a whole lot of duplication where departments focus almost on the same stakeholders.
Yeah.
Insofar as creating awareness is concerned. We are raising an important issue that because you are responsible for traditional affairs, so deal with patriarchy in that particular context, which is an issue that I do not think that it's been happening. Yes, there are activities that department would engage itself in insofar as illegal circumcisions are concerned, creating awareness within that sector and so on. Engagement with the traditional leaders. Remember, one of the challenges in Gauteng is that only 2 traditional leadership communities are recognized. Okay. There have been a commission which it has finalized its work just before elections, which commission has been receiving representations from a number of traditional or people who purport to be traditional leaders within Gauteng itself. Gauteng is a bit of a dynamic issue, the issue of traditional leaders, because one of the things that if we are not managing it properly, it has got an effect of collapsing the province, because people are claiming that land and that land, Johannesburg belongs to us, that township belongs to us, and all of those kind of things. So you've got to be really sensitive when you're dealing with it. We are hoping that the department will make the report publicly soon, and then we will know that what is the setup of Gauteng. But clearly, I agree with you, and I think I would take it at heart that as a committee, would have to pursue the department that look at issues of it's an interesting thing. Sure. Look at the issues of patriarchy within the traditional sense, setup and all of those things, and it will make more sense, because that's where you found it.
We could be more preventative, as opposed to being reactionary after the fact. Are there specific areas of concern with municipalities that you would like to highlight, with a view of getting municipalities in the province to perform optimally?
Look, I sometimes sit down and say, but why do we have such a big problem around financial mismanagement? Because municipalities are highly regulated. One, if you have to buy that bottle of water, the law will tell you what to do. Simple as that. But people are not able to keep to the law, and we can't say they can't read, because we know that we appointed you because you are the CFO, we appointed you because you've got this qualification, that qualification, not qualification. Over and above, there's legal people within the institution that can help you to do certain things. The biggest problem is that people are not complying. It's a conduct issue. So I know what is required of me, but my conduct is different. So we've got to enforce the culture of compliance in municipality. We've got to say to the people of supply chain, you have regulations. So there's a tender that you must issue. You are told that you must get 3 different competitors and so on. Don't bring us 2 and tell us that you can't find the others.
Third one, yeah.
You've got to get the 3rd one as per the law, and that's compliance. Linked to compliance, it's a simple thing. We live in an era of 4th industrial revolution. However, you still have a situation where when just document management, when the AG comes and say, yeah, no, we see 150 million project, by law you're supposed to advertise, to do this, to do this. No, we've checked at your portfolio of evidence. We don't get, or we can't find a simple thing, the advert. Where is the advert? It's found wanting. Remember, that part only. Everything else can be done correctly. But if the AG find that part only, then they will declare that project irregular. And once it's declared irregular, the impression that is creating in the people's mind is that there's a whole lot of corruption here. People are not compliant. So for me, my message even to municipalities is that the culture of compliance, we've got to put in, the department will have to put in a mechanism in municipalities. One of the proposals that I will put forth is that you've got to appoint compliance officers who are independent from any person, independent even from the accounting officers, who would be able to can present a report to municipal managers or accounting officers and the local, but have who can be able to also present a report to the province itself. I'm working in this municipality of Mohale City as a compliance officer. This is what I found out. I reported to senior executive. Nobody's doing anything about it. So that person must be able to take such a report to the province and say to the HOD in the provincial level, this is the state of affairs, do something about it. So that they are not being managed as such, but they are allowed to do their work. Because in most cases, things fall through cracks, just from a reporting point of view. I know about something that is wrong, but because it's benefiting us and my crew or whoever that I'm working with, I keep it there, and that's the end of it. It doesn't see the light, and that's where the challenges are. So compliance.
Premier Lesotho made quite a few commitments regarding service delivery in the State of the Province address on the 15th of August 2024. Would you say the department is aligned with these commitments, at least for the quarter covered by the report in question?
Yeah, no, I'll say so, because one of the things that Premier would have spoken to us about in the State of the Province address is that they worked on what they call elevated priorities. And one of those elevated priorities would be the creating stability within municipality, particularly on the hung municipalities. We know what's happening in Tshwane today, change of leadership and so on, which has two sides on it. It might be negative or positive depending on how it was handled as such. But also that the departments must continue to support municipalities to ensure that they are financially sustainable. One of the key things there is to ensure that municipalities have got what they call funded budgets in order for them to be sustainable, particularly if you look at the district municipalities and local municipalities. That's where there's a big problem. However, as I say, you go to metros, that's now going to the metros itself. Take Tshwane as an example. For many years, Tshwane never had a problem of paying ESCOM, because those becomes your red lights, your indicators that we're getting into trouble here. Because why would I be not in a position to pay? It's because I don't have money. Why not? something wrong is happening down the line and so
Poor
on.
revenue collection.
Revenue collection is a problem and all of those kind of things. So Tshwane, it's going there, it's owing ESCOM a lot of money. So Premier would have said, work with municipalities to ensure that there's financial prudence and that they are able to pay their service providers on time and all of those kind of things. So key to our challenge is sustainability. Many municipalities are facing that, and sometimes we are unfair to them because municipalities operate within communities,
Yeah.
and their revenue base relies from communities. When there's a high rate of unemployment, as it is happening in our country, of course they're going to be affected because too many people will not be able to pay for their services, yet consuming those particular services, because you can't say you are unemployed, I'm not giving you electricity and all of those kind of things. So the people who feel the immediate pain of unemployment is municipalities itself. That is why one of the submissions we would have made in the past is that can't we make assessment of each municipality, come to a conclusion that we will need to give you X number of billions for you to be sustainable, once off grants.
Okay. Just
to and say if you find yourself in this, we're not going to help you as such. Once off grants, having identified and help them as provincial national government and help them to identify those programs that should be implemented in order to ensure that they are sustainable. The second thing that municipalities have raised as such, which I hope that the department will take in place, even as a committee, as we engage within our oversight role, it's the funding, the funding model. Because the funding model, as per DORA, it's not helping municipality to be sustainable. In fact, it takes resources to where resources are.
Okay.
So people who get better revenue from national government itself are the metros.
Then I did say we were going to touch on this. It's in your report, and I want to hear your response. Corruption Watch comes out, finds that out of 5 municipalities with the highest number of corruption reports, 3 metros, Tshwane, Johannesburg, and Cape Town, collectively account for 71% of corrupt incidents. I believe you touched on it, but maybe you want to respond because it's in the report.
Well, we've got to work hard insofar as corruption is concerned. The truth is, every municipality have got what they call corruption strategy, something of that nature.
To combat corruption.
To combat corruption. But for me, it ends up in black and white. There are no proper institutions that are established within the municipalities to help them to implement the strategies. If I can tell you, those strategies are gathering dust there. Because at some point, province would have said each municipality must ensure that it implements, it develop that strategy. So everybody rushed to develop the strategy. The strategy is there. But the implementation of the strategy is a big problem. That is why this report on Corruption Watch, which makes those municipalities as one of those the big culprits insofar as corruption is concerned. So what does it mean? It means we've got to review those strategies that are there with one question in mind.
Okay.
How practical are these things? And if not, what can be done to ensure that we practicalize them? No more theories, but just to practical. So what are the mechanisms we've got to use in order to fight corruption? Can we find those mechanisms there? If yes, why are they not being implemented? And then we deal with them in that sense.
Does your committee collaborate with other committee members to address community needs?
We do. That's why if you look at even the legislature, there's clusters. So we belong to social cluster. We work with everybody else there. Even the economic cluster, we also engage with them to ensure that sometimes when we do even this FRS studies, go into communities, we go there as different committees who've got common interest on the particular issues that are happening at the local government level.
And just in terms of, legacy goals, when you look ahead, you did mention that you were previously an MEC. There's an opportunity that you might move away and be given another responsibility. But what would you like the legacy to be when people look back on your tenure as, chairperson of this committee, and not just for you, but for the committee itself?
For me, the major legacy that we've got to leave behind is that the audit outcome of municipalities must improve for the better. Because with improved audit outcome, municipalities are able to crowd in investment and therefore contribute on the project of creating jobs as such, and then bettering the life of our people. That's number one. And linked to that is the passion that I have around issues of compliance as such. That if we inculcate the culture of compliance in the municipalities, we will effectively be killing the culture of corruption. Because one of the reasons why people do not comply is because they want to do corruption. I know that if I follow this route strictly as per the law, I might not get X to be the service provider of my preference. If we move away from those and say, whatever the system gives me, I'll work with, because your intention is that. So that's what we and in Gauteng for because if you make a quick assessment, actually all your local municipalities and the district municipalities in Gauteng might have to close shop from a sustainability point of view. The reason is, if I to substantiate my argument, is that department would have said, for instance, we want a funded budget. The people who are able to do funded budgets or to produce funded budget are your metros.
Yeah.
The others are not able to. They will always present an unfunded budget because they will not be able to put together a funded budget as such. What does that tell you? That would tell you that these people are not sustainable in a sense, because the unfunded budget, it means you're saying generally we've been working at a budget of 1 billion, but in terms of the actual cash flow, we have far less than that money. And you then base your projections on the household that are there, knowing exactly that you will not be able to recover or get that kind of revenue from those particular households and so on and so on. And that's where the problem is. But if we are to put municipalities on the path of them being sustainable, we've got to do these things that I've spoken about as such.
Chairperson of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Portfolio Committee, Honourable Mzikayifani Khumalo, we wish you all the best. And thank you for taking time to speak to the people of Gauteng.
Thank you very much, and thank you to the people of Gauteng.
Thank you.